Exams Made Easy. My name is Stuart Borthwick, the accounting teacher, and in this video I'm going to be taking you through the 2016 question 6, which is a correction of errors and suspense account. This question is worth 100 marks out of 400, so 25% of the exam. A good knowledge of debit and credits is needed in order to attempt this question. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to take you through the whole question and try and simplify it for you so that you're able to maximize the marks. So if we look at the question first of all, it's a trial, but what we have, we are given trial balance of D Sexton, the furniture retailer, failed to agree. The difference was entered into a suspense account and the following balance sheet was prepared. So in all of these correction of errors 100-mark questions, you'll be given a balance sheet, as you see here, and then you'll be given a list of errors or omissions, which you see here. Error 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this case. You're required to journalise the corrections, which is worth 54 marks, show a suspense account, which is worth 6 marks, a statement of corrected net profit, which is 14 marks, and a balance sheet, which is 20 marks, and then a bit of theory, which is worth 6 marks. What I would say, if possible, going through this video, if you have the question next to you, and if need be, pause, rewind whenever you need to in order to make sure you have the notes clear. With the suspense accounts, what I would say is practice, practice, practice until you are able to do the notes just off the top of your head, because as I say, you need a good knowledge of debits and credits. So practice and keep doing the questions is the only way to learn. Okay, so without further ado, I will start doing the notes. I will hide my own video and we'll use an Excel spreadsheet. So, note number 1. Oh, before we start, actually, I must highlight one of the first things you need to look at when you look at these questions is what is the occupation of the business that we're dealing with, and it's right up in the very top line. So you can see here with this one, I'm just going to highlight in blue, this person, D Sexton, is a furniture retailer. Okay, and that's going to be important, and actually in note 1 I'm going to show you why. So a furniture retailer, the business is important, especially sometimes you'll see it as a garage. It just means, so the furniture retailer, anything to do with furniture will be purchases, not equipment. And same with if it's a garage and they get a vehicle, it will be purchases, not motor vehicles. So that is important. So I'll show you what I mean here. The note says, now this is how I approach the notes actually. I have a did happen column, a should happen column, and a fix column. And once I have the fix column, that is basically I'm able to transfer the fixed column to the journal entries for my 54 marks, and also for the rest of the question. It makes it very easy by using the fixed column. So this note here, coffee tables purchased on credit for 2,800 had been entered on the incorrect side of the creditor's account and credited as 1,800 to the equipment account. So first of all, I'm going to say what should happen. So coffee tables purchased on credit. Remember, we're a furniture dealer, so coffee tables would be purchases. Purchased on credit, so that would be creditors. Okay. So what should have happened was purchases 2,800 on the debit side, creditors 2,800 on the credit side. But we are told that had been entered incorrect side of the creditors account. So what did happen? Creditors. So the incorrect side. So they debited 2,800 and also credited as 1,800 in the equipment account. So credited 1,800. So big mistakes made here by the accountant. So first of all, what I want to point out, in the fix column, how do we know if we have a suspense account or not? So it's very easy to work out. If you look at the did column and it doesn't balance, that means you're going to have a suspense account. So in this one, we have 2,800 on the debit side, we have 1,800 on the credit side. That doesn't balance, therefore there's going to be a suspense account in this question. We know that for sure. Okay, so we're going to have to go through these and fix what should be fixed. So we'll start with creditors. So the creditors account is currently 2,800 on the debit side. It should be 2,800 on the credit side. So how do we do that? Basically, first of all, we would credit 2,800 to make it a zero balance. Then we would credit another 2,800 to make it a credit balance of 2,800. So in total, we would credit 5,600. Equipment account. We want to, that equipment account should not be there. So currently 1,800 credit. If we debit 1,800, that becomes a zero balance account. Purchases. Wasn't done, so it's just a straightforward 2,800 debit. And then finally, for the suspense, we look at the sides and we find out which side needs the suspense. So we've 5,600 on this side at the moment. We have 4,600 on this side at the moment. The suspense to make things balance would be €1,000. So that would be, these figures here would be for your, I'll just look at the marking scheme, for your journalization here. So you can see, you just take same sides, equipment, debit 1,800, 2 marks, creditors, credit 5,600, 2 marks, purchases, debit 2,800, suspense, debit 1,000, and also you need a sentence explaining what happened. So that's just taken from the fix column. One more thing I always do, which will help you as you go through the question when you're doing the suspense, profit and loss, corrected profit, and the balance sheet, is I write in how you would treat these. So first of all, creditors is on the credit side, so you would add to creditors. I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. The equipment is on the debit side, so you would add to equipment. That's an asset. Purchases, so anything to do with the profit and loss. The purchases, sales, any expenses. The purchases on the debit side would be a takeaway. So take from P and L. And the suspense stays on the same side as the suspense account. I'm just going to highlight these. So 5,600 will be added to creditors. 1,800 will be added to equipment. These are both balance sheet. And this corrected net profit, 2,800, will be taken from P and L. So if we just look at that here, oh, sorry, and go back. And the suspense will be on the debit side, 1,000. So if we look at the corrected suspense, equipment creditors, note 1, €1,000 on the debit side. We have a statement of corrected net profit from note 1, less purchases, 2,800. If we look at our balance sheet, equipment, we have plus 1,800 here. And the creditors account, we have plus 5,600 here. Okay, so that's you dealt with note number 1. Note number 2. A delivery van which cost 2,400 and with a book value of 1,500 was sold for cash 1,350. This had been entered as 1,530 on the debit side of the sales account and on the credit side of the debtors account. Okay, so mistakes made again here. So start with the did happen. It's quite easy this time. So debit side of sales account. So sales account had been debited 1,530, and the debtors account had been credited 1530. So that's what did happen. What should have happened though? Okay, we'll go through that. We're dealing with delivery vans, okay, not sales, delivery vans. So delivery vans. The delivery van costs 2,400. So when you sell it, delivery vans must go down by 2,400. Credit delivery vans 2,400. When you sell any asset as well, you must write off the depreciation. In this case, the van cost 2,400 and had a book value of 1,500. Therefore, the depreciation was 900. And when the van is disposed of, the 900 is written off as well. We sold it for cash. So cash of 1,350. Now, that doesn't balance. So how do we get it to balance? If we think about it logically, the van had a book value of 1,500 and we sold it for 1,350. So you should be able to work out, wait a minute, it was worth 1,500, we sold it for 1,350. We have made a loss there of 150. We've lost money on it. So there's going to be quite a few T accounts to fix this. So sales T account should not be there at all. We credit 1530, that's done. Debtors account, again, shouldn't be there. So we debit 1530. Not only was it the wrong account, it was the wrong numbers as well. Delivery vans. We put in the correct figure, 24,000. Depreciation, we're just putting in the correct figures for all of these, 900. Cash, 1,350. The last one would be the loss of 150. So again, if we look at the fixed column, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 T accounts. Here we take the numbers exact, the same side that they're on, and if we looked at the journalization here in note 2, that's where all the marks are coming from. So as you can see, huge marks for this note, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19 marks for note 2 there. So once you have that note done, the fixed column, you write it out nice and neatly, as you can see here, with a sentence explaining what happened. Going back to it, what do you do after that? So, sales figure. Sales is P&L. It's on the credit side, so you're going to add to P and L. Debtors is a debit account, so you're going to add to debtors in the balance sheet. Delivery vans is an asset, so you're going to take from delivery vans in the balance sheet. The depreciation. So accumulated depreciation on the balance sheet would be on the credit side. So this is on the debit side, so you're going to take from accumulated depreciation. I'll show you where that is in a second. Cash is on the debit side, so you're going to add cash on the balance sheet. And obviously the loss is a take from P and L. That's a reasonably straightforward. I'm just going to highlight these. Second. So the 1530 you're going to add to P&L. The 1530 you're going to add to debtors. The 24,000 you're going to take away from delivery vans. The 900 you're going to take from accumulated depreciation. The 1350 you're going to add to cash, and the loss you're going to take from the P&L account. So if we look at the marking scheme, I'll go through those. So you can see here the sales figure 1530. I'll just highlight it. 1530 you have added on. You also had the loss of 150 there. If we go down to the balance sheet from note 2, You had debtors, you added 1,530 there. You had delivery vans of minus 2,400. You had depreciation minus 900. And you had cash plus 1,350. A lot of information in that note, a lot of marks going for that note. That's it dealt with. Note number 3. A shorter note, more straightforward. Insurance due 340 and rent prepaid to Sexton were not recorded in the books. Whenever you have a not recorded in the books, you don't need the did column, you don't need the fixed column. All you need is the should column. Okay, so what we have here is insurance due and rent prepaid. These would both go into the balance sheet as current liabilities and not recorded in the books. They would obviously come off with profit. So what we're going to have is 3 accounts. We're going to call one insurance. We're going to call one rent. And then we're going to call one just P&L. Okay. So what will happen is in the P&L we will have a debit of the total, which is 800. The insurance we will credit 340 and the rent we will credit 460 because these are both current liabilities. Okay? You're going to these. If you look back at the question, you won't see these anywhere. You won't see them in the balance sheet. So we need to add new accounts. So you can see it here on the answer scheme here. You have insurance company here, and you have creditor rent. It's called. Okay, so 340 current liability, rent current liability. The P&L is on the debit side, so you take from P&L. We'll just highlight that in yellow. 340 current liability, 460 current liability, 800 take that away from P&L. So as you can see, we go up to the P&L account. You have rent and insurance here, 800 taken away, and we go down. I've already highlighted it, but here's your 340 and your 460. Okay. And up to the journalization, again, 800, 340, there's your mark. So that's worth 9 marks for this note. Okay, on to note 4. A credit note sent to a debtor for 620 had been entered in the day books as 260 and was subsequently posted to the incorrect side of the relevant ledger accounts. So let's see, we'll start with what should have happened. So a credit note sent to a debtor would enter for 620. So it should have been sales returns should have been 620 and debtor should have been 620. Okay, that's what should have happened. What we're told though is it had been entered in the day books and posted to the incorrect side of the relevant ledger accounts as 260. The same accounts, sales, returns, and debtors, but wrong side 260, wrong side 260. So it does balance, so there's no suspense account, we just have to fix these two accounts. Sales, returns, and debtors. So currently, sales returns is a credit of 260. We want to get it to a debit of 620. First of all, debit is 260 to get it to 0. Then debit another 620, which would be altogether 880. Similarly, with debtors, we want to get to the credit side. We credit 880. Okay. Sales returns is a P&L, so it's on the debit side, so you're going to take from P&L. The debtors is a plus minus, so that's going to be take from debtors. If I highlight that, and I'll show you where it goes in the accounts. If we look at the accounts, you shall see in the sales returns of 880, which is here, and in the debtors, you can see a minus 880, which is here. There's one note left, and this is a very common note, comes up nearly every time Suspense comes up, so make sure you practice this and get your head around. The Sexton returned furniture previously purchased on credit for 27,000. This was entered in the accounts as 37,000. Mistake there. However, credit notes subsequently arrived from the supplier showing a transport charge of €500, and the only entry made in respect of this was a credit entry in the creditor's account of 26,500. So a lot of mistakes here. First of all, I'm going to do the should column. What should have happened was purchase returns of 27,000 and creditors debited 27,000. That's what initially should have happened. Then you had the transport charge 500. That goes on the opposite side. So debit purchase returns, credit creditors. That's what should have happened. What did happen, however, was use the right accounts, purchase returns and creditors, but got the numbers completely wrong. So it was entered as 37,000 first of all, 37,000, so 10,000 each out in each case. Then, instead of doing the restocking charge, they put a credit entry in the creditor's account of 26,500. So, big mistake. So as you can see, firstly, these don't balance in the did column. 37,000 on that side, a lot more on that side. So there's going to be a suspense account over here. So I'll just put it as the third one. We're also going to have a purchase returns and a creditors. Okay, we're going to have three accounts to fix. Now, what I do in these questions before I fix is just my own notes to make sure I have the numbers correct. So here, so go to the creditors account. So here you would have your 37,000 on the debit side, your 26,500 on the credit side. So if I was to balance this account, I would end up with 10,500 on this side. Okay, that's what I have at the moment. If I was to balance this, I would have 26,500 on this side. So that's the figure I'm trying to get to. I would have 26,500 on this side. That's the figure I'm trying to get to. It just makes it a bit easier to work out. So with the purchase returns, currently I have 37,000 on the credit side. I want to get 26,500 on the credit side. In order to do that, I debit 10,500. The creditors account, I currently have 10,500 on the debit side. I want 26,500 on the debit side. So I debit 16,000. Suspense is fairly straightforward. There's nothing on this side, so it's the total of these two, 26,500. And that's that note. So purchase returns is on the debit side, it's P&L. So it's take from P&L. Take from P&L. Creditors should be minus plus. So that is going to be a take from creditors in the balance sheet. And your suspense account will be on the credit side. We'll just highlight these two. That's going to be our figure. Take from P&L. Creditors, take from creditors, and your suspense is going to be on the credit side. So if we look at the marking scheme, you will see, we'll look at the suspense first of all. You will notice that we have the 26,500 on the credit side of suspense for 2 marks. If we go down to the P&L, we have the 10,500 here, take away from net profit, and we have the creditors here of 16,000. So that's a wrap for the notes. From the notes now, what you would do, you would journalize all of those fixed columns. Write them out nice and neat. As you can see here, that's going to get you 54 marks out of 100. And then the suspense is 6, correct profit 14, balance sheet 20. Very easy to do once you have the notes. Thanks for listening, and remember, practice, practice.